Well, welcome back, everybody. Sorry I've been away, but for those of you that have known me for decades, you know that you've often heard about my grandmother, and it's the one that I proposed to my lovely bride in front of, many, many years ago. And unfortunately, after a lot of the troubles that she had had, the struggles that she had had over the last 10 years, we lost her. And so been, hard 10 days. And so obviously I've been a little incommunicado with the world and just kind of coming out of our shell here. So I appreciate your patience with that. And thanks to my team for going ahead and taking such great care of all of you in my absence. So as we're going ahead and taking a look at the market, you recall in some of the last videos I did, really all the videos all throughout the first part of the year here, it was always about this resistance here. And then as we were retesting the resistance here, retesting here, and then what we were talking about was what we need to have happen is we need to get through this resistance line, break through it, pull back, and then start to take back off, right? You heard me say that. It's in the video, so you can go back and take a look. So this little attempt to push up without the pullback and resumption, basically this unfortunately was that classic retail trader trap. Retail traders get very focused on breakouts and breakdowns, and what happens is then they get trapped at just the wrong time. And so that's why I want to see it push through, pull back, show that it's now actual support, and then take back off. Okay. And so what happened though was that did not happen. We actually had the negativity as we take a look. That was the SPY. Now going over to the NASDAQ, we had the negative divergence that was taking place here. And right at that same time where the SPY was failing to have the breakout, pullback, and resumption. So you just had multiple fronts kind of saying the same thing here, that hey, something's not quite right. We were overcooked down below here. And so the market turned around and went sell side. And if you recall, I said that really to get, start focusing heavily on the shorts, I'd want to get down below the champion trend, champion cross, all those different, key levels. We did that and then went full blown sell side here. And then lots of signals, coming in here with the IRBs, reverse IRBs, a lot of continuation trades. Then we had the resumption trades pulling back into the falling channel, coming back out again, even leading up to Friday where we had the IRB tracker, and then it's had the signal when it broke below the low over there. And if you don't know what I'm talking about with any of this, that's okay. You'll have a chance to learn all this in very shortly. I'll explain that at the end of the video. And so what's happening here is a couple of the key things to note, that this area right down here is going to be kind of a key support area at this point. We are kind of making a short-term higher low from this point to this point. So it's kind of like a little bit of a positive divergence per se, not really because this isn't lower yet, but this is, you see when we came down here, this was saying that we expected after pullbacks, to, have another pullback down. And so but this is now going to be a key area of support that we're going to want to watch. And just like up here, if we're going to go long, I want to see if we're going to break through and make it support. I want to see if we're going to be able to break through here and make this resistance for anything more systemic and sustainable to the downside. The point is, though, that there are so many great trades with this. So this was the classic resumption trade right over here. And so as we break that down into the day trading side, you see those same things, those same signals that are constantly firing off, right? You're seeing breakout forecasters, which mean even after a pullback, we expect to go and make lower lows. And then we also had the resumption trades where we pull back into the champion cross to the downside. And when it does that, we can fire off fresh sell signals, fire off fresh sell signals, fire off fresh sell signals. And so over and over again, we had those chances. Now, if you don't like to trade on a 1 minute chart, you don't love the action of a 1 minute chart here. Obviously, 1 minute NASDAQ, it can be a heart pounder for some people, and or a lot of people that are hardcore, active day traders like myself. You love the the NASDAQ 1 minute charts, right? But let's say you don't. The good news is with the strategy, it's all fractal. And so what happens is, if you can go over here and look at the different time frames in here, or like me, I just have them all favorited. So let's just kind of go up the favorites. Look at the 5-minute chart of this, right? And so what happens is you can go back and look at the same thing, right? Firing off here. So there you go. Let's take a look at this. You have the champion trend, champion cross. You got an IRB sell. You've got a wealth signal, which usually comes where? Near the beginning of trends, right? Then you've got the breakout forecasters, which means even after a pullback, we expect a lower low. And so then we also have the resumption trades where we pull into the champion cross, start to come back out, and then those lead to great opportunities, right? Come into the champion cross, pull back out. You have the IRB tracker, which is the pre-signal to an IRB, and then the actual IRB itself. And these are really wonderful. If you're looking at the ranges of these moves, right? In fact, here, I'll just do this. Pull it right over here for you. You look at the ranges of those moves. You're talking some pretty healthy moves, 50-point moves. That's $1,000 for a single contract, right? In the NASDAQ. So you get the point. The thing is here, whether it was a 1-minute chart or a 5-minute chart, you could see over and over again where those things were happening. Maybe you like 10-minute charts, okay? Well, you can see the 10-minute chart fired off some IRB trackers, then IRB sells, along with breakout forecasters, wealth signals, champion trend, champion cross, all sell, coming into the first, half hour of the day, and then down the hatch it went the rest of the day. Look at the 15-minute version of it. Same thing, right? He went sell side here very early in the day, and then the rest of the day, pushed down. Same thing with the hourly chart. So if you're, more of a little bit of a short-term swing trader, you had the same thing happening here with the hourlies. Lots of sells, lots of resumptions back into the direction of that trading. So the point that I'm making with all of that, right, is that there's so many different opportunities regardless of the time frame that you like to trade. And so, and it's exciting, it's exhilarating, right? When you're sitting here, I know the market's closed, it's a Saturday when I'm shooting this. By the time you see the video, it'll be Sunday morning. There's nothing better than when this market's, pushing up, pushing down, and you get your entry and it spikes back up your direction. Or in the case of, like yesterday where it's going down, it pulls back up, you get short and it pushes back down into your direction with your great tools and indications. And then, of course, you have like a trade copier for those of you that do like the prop trading where you can fire off multiple accounts or switch it over and do some of them as, micros, some of them as minis or micros, set up however you want to set it up. It's just so exhilarating to be a part of that. Trading always involves risk, not just reward. And that's why we want to try to stack as many of these odds in our favor as we can because of all those risks. And so it's just exciting to see days like this where the market's just firing those sell signals. You've got everything taking place at the higher level, firing off just like it should, just like we've been talking about for really months now, because we've been talking about this for literally months leading up to the SPY, talking about that level, failing to get the breakout, pullback, resumption. Then we took that over to the NASDAQ with the big negative divergence. So it all rolled over here, right? We talked about what we were looking at for the rollover. That happened. And then we've talked repeatedly about my resumption indicator and the opportunities for resumption trades as well. And then we can break that down into the intraday version of that, how there's so many opportunities even on an intraday basis. So it's an exciting time in these markets, to say the least. And the good news is that if you don't understand it, you don't understand what I was talking about with these portion over here, or the entries and re-entries when the market's moving fast with the domes, or what a trade copier is and how to use those kind of things. The good news is that the Wealth 365 Summit, by the time you see this video Sunday morning, it'll only be basically a week away. And so it's going to be Monday, April 7th through the April 12th. And it's going to be one of the most exciting ones. It's just so incredible what we're doing with this. We made some big announcements and pre-announcements back in April of 2024, and those are all coming to fruition in April of 2025. So really super exciting. We're releasing a bunch of new features and things for wealth charts for the betterment of all active traders and investors. I'll bite my tongue and hold those announcements. It's one of those things that's keeping me busy and trying to keep my mind off of my the loss of my grandmother, and so I'm trying to turn it all positive and use all this extra energy towards getting to that point, because it's gonna be a lot of fun to be with you guys here in a week. And so thanks for being the world's greatest student family. And we're going to cover all these different things that I just talked about a few minutes ago and a lot more. And I've got several talks with you there during the show. So buckle your seatbelt, bring your notepad and your notes. Let's get your questions answered, and let me show you a lot of things that you really need to see. So thanks again. I'll look forward to going and seeing you here in just over a week. You can go to wealth365.com/BBT, wealth365.com/BBT to get signed up for the summit, and I'll look forward to seeing you there personally. All right. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye for now.